Hi, Ayurveda Everyday with Talya. I'm Talya and I'm happy to be here with you. So, welcome to this mini masterclass. I just decided to call it this because I got so many comments and questions about oil pulling in my free Facebook group, Ayurveda Everyday with Talya, which is where this video is happening live. And I was like, there's so much to actually say and teach about oil pulling, and all of your questions have been so awesome and very thorough. So I'm going to take this opportunity to teach everything that I know about oil pulling, and of course how it relates to your gut health and the health of your mouth, the health of your teeth, your gums, um, all of that. So I'm gonna jump in by just kind of answering some of the questions that came in through our Facebook group. And of course, if you are here live watching this live, then feel free to ask your questions. And if you're watching this even after it's gone live, ask your questions. I'll check later and, when this video is done, and I'll answer everything. Okay. So everything that you want to know about oil pulling, I'm going to talk about the benefits of oil pulling. I'm going to talk about what kind of oil you should use and why. How often should you do it? How often should you actually be keeping the oil in your mouth? There are so many great questions here, so I'm going to answer them all. Okay, so first of all, oil pulling, let's talk about what it is. So oil pulling is actually, right, it's like this is I'll just show you one. I've got to see what I'm doing here. This is an oil pulling oil that I got from my favorite girls over at Pavani Ayurveda. They are an Ayurvedic skincare company, and then they make some internal products as well. They make my favorite Vata Pitta Kapha misters, like aromatherapy misters, and I just love their body oils. Love these girls, these women. So their oil pulling oil is sesame oil, coconut oil. I can't even read this with this light. I don't know what else is in here. Cinnamon. I really can't see it with the way the light is. I don't know what that says. Turmeric, clove. Okay, so some of you have asked, so what is oil pulling? Oil pulling is where you take a little swish of pure oil, carrier oil, which would mean sesame oil, olive oil, coconut oil, something like that, and you're literally pulling it through the spaces between your teeth. And what it's doing is it's starting to gather all of the bacteria that you naturally hold in your mouth, not only after eating, but after sleeping, just moving through your day. We accumulate in the mouth. And that's why we can show, like, your tongue, when you wake up in the morning, might look really, have a thick coating over it that's white or yellow. And then later in the day it's gone. And then another time in the day you look again and then it's back. The tongue is always showing us a reflection of what's going on in the deeper tissues and organs of the body. There's all different kinds of ways to read the tongue, and that's another topic that I may do a Facebook Live about. But for the oil pulling, it's to basically cleanse the mouth with oil. And the oil, because oil has a viscosity and a kind of really a stickiness to it. So as you are swishing the oil, pulling the oil through your teeth, the oil starts to collect that bacteria, and the bacteria sticks to the oil. And in your mouth, with all the enzymes that you've naturally got going in your mouth already, like amylase, for example, that oil starts to change and transform. So what was originally just a teaspoon of sesame oil or coconut oil or whatever, I'll talk about those in a little bit, when you spit it out, it does not look like that oil anymore. In fact, the way that you can tell it's time for you to spit out your oil pull is the texture of the oil will have changed to such a degree that it almost feels watery. It doesn't feel like oil anymore. It has absolutely changed in consistency. And when you spit it out, it'll be like a bright, I mean, this is from doing it. I always do mine with sesame oil. It'll be a bright yellow color and it'll be thin. It won't be the same thick, viscous oil that you put in your mouth. It will have transformed. And that is all of the bacteria that you just pulled from your gums, your teeth, the sides of the cheeks, the inner cheeks, the roof of the mouth, the lower palate. It's extraordinary what you can release through oil pulling. So that's what it is. It's just swishing, spitting it out when it's done. So what kind of oil should you be using when you do oil pulling? Okay, now there's a lot of controversy over this of what oil is best. Now, I think traditionally, from what I've seen and read, oh, my necklace is out, is that sesame oil is the most traditional oil pull. It's what I use. I love using sesame oil. And, you want to really remember that in Ayurveda, the word for oil is the same word as the word for love. And they don't only use oil to be like, oh, I'm so nourished and oh, like there is that, but oil is highly cleansing. So if you are in the Ayurvedic skincare world at all, like checking out the products from Pavani or Shankara, a company I really love, they're on my website as under companies we love. Pavani should be under there too. A lot of their cleansers are oil based. Or if you look at this company, Ajara Skincare, a lot of her cleansers are oil based and they'll contain some kind of, maybe meadowsweet oil or rosehip oil, sesame oil, coconut oil, etc. So you can use whatever pure carrier oil that works for you, your body, your constitution. It's going to be a little bit different for everyone because part of it is based on preference. Like for me, when I put a teaspoon of coconut oil in my mouth, I want to gag. I just am like, bleh, it's solid because I live in a climate where coconut oil is not already liquid. And I'm just like, I got to warm it up with my own mouth. I just don't like it. Like it just doesn't resonate for me. And I run cold. So I want you to listen up. If you run cold, coconut oil is the coldest, most cooling carrier oil that you could possibly be using for oil pulling. Yes, it has lauric acid. Yes, it's going to do a very effective job. Yes, it is kind of lightweight, so it's not going to leave your mouth feeling heavy at all. But most oils won't leave your mouth feeling heavy because you're pulling so much excess bacteria out. It just feels so clean. So the thing with coconut oil is that it's very cooling. So if you run cold, like I do, I'm just cold most of the time, unless I'm at the beach in Maui, which I wish I was. Coconut oil as an oil pull is just too cooling. So it's just not my favorite. I like sesame oil because it's super duper warming, and it's one of the warmest oils you can use to do oil pulling with. Now, that being said, you could also use olive oil. If you really had a condition where there was a lot of heat and inflammation, you could even do a combination of oils like a little bit of neem oil, which is so, so, so bitter and cooling, but so anti-inflammatory. You could put this is a 4-ounce bottle. So I would do like maybe a quarter at the most of neem, and then you could fill it up the rest of the way with whatever, olive oil, sesame oil. You can make a mix. Pavani's oil pulling oil, which is basically they have infused sesame and coconut oil with herbs and essential oils. So I'm going to tell you how to make your own. But if you want like one-stop shop, get theirs. It's awesome. But you can always combine the oils that are in there too. I'm talking about the carrier oils, the actual viscous oil that is going to be the primary, agitator of that bacteria and what you're actually pulling and then spitting out. whatever else you add to your oil pull, whether it's essential oils or, maybe you cook some herbs into your oil pulling oil, like that, just like food is medicine in Ayurveda, I mean, everywhere, if you ask me. I see your question. I will answer it. What was I saying? I don't know. It's cold here in Santa Cruz. I'm discombobulated. Um, that, just in the same way that food is medicine, herbs are medicine, of course. Essential oils are medicine. So, so I'm just reading the question. So when you add essential oils or herbs to your carrier oil for your oil pull, of course you're enhancing that oil's ability to do the job you want done. And I'll say a little bit more about that as well. That's why I'm calling this a masterclass, because I'm going to go in as deep as I can with your questions and what I know about the value of oil pulling. So let's talk about some of the benefits of oil pulling. Although, actually, I'll first answer the question that just came in. So the question was, are these the same oils that you would use to rub onto your body for massage or cook with? So that's a great question. I personally, I sort of have my oils divided around my house. So I could have the same bottle of sesame oil in my bathroom, in my kitchen, and in my massage self-care area. It could be the same bottle, but just because I like to separate it out, like I don't drink, this is just me. I don't drink water out of my bathroom faucet. I just don't. I mean, I guess if I was really desperate, I would. But I'm like, the bathroom's not where I want to drink water. I want to drink water in the kitchen. That's where I'm going to take my water from. So this is just me. Theoretically, yes, this is the same oil that you could use on your body and when you cook and whatever. But I like to keep them separate. So I also put herbs and essential oils into my oil pull. So I keep that separate in my bathroom and I don't use it anywhere else. So another question that came through in our Facebook group about oil pulling was, is oil pull the same oil that you could use on your face? So let's talk about if you're using coconut oil, that's just straight up coconut oil. And, it's nothing else is in it. And you use a spoon to take it out and put it in your mouth for your oil pull. Sure, there's no reason why you couldn't also just then use it on your face, on your hair, as a body moisturizer, everywhere. It's just up to you of whether or not you want to separate those things. I like to medicate my oils with herbs and essential oils because I like to get really specific about, okay, how do I feel? What do I need? And I know that herbs and essential oils will deepen my relief, my healing, my purpose in what I'm doing. So I always add those. And I guess because the question was posed as, are these the same oils you would cook with? If you're cooking with coconut oil and you're using coconut oil on your face, I think those should definitely be separate. You don't want to be putting coconut oil on your face that has a little bit of like bread on it or, some spices or some, maybe you double dipped in the kitchen with the knife or the spoon. Like keep that separate. And I don't actually recommend cooking with sesame oil very much unless it is the fall. So here we are in fall at the time of this recording. But even then, I caution my students to use, unsaturated fats, whether it's a mono unsaturated fat or a poly unsaturated fat. I caution them around using those in cooking because when you raise an oil that is unsaturated to a high enough heat that it's actually cooking food for you. So I know most people say it's around 350. I go down. I'm like, I'm cooking stuff at 250. I've seen that happen in my oven and my dehydrator. So I err on the side of caution. And, once you're over 200, 250, most unsaturated fats that contain oxygen, that's partly what makes them so good for you, is you're going to start cooking that oxygen out of the oil, and it no longer is a healthful oil to eat. It's now rancid because you've changed it from an unsaturated fat to a saturated fat, and that's no good. That is another topic for another video, but I am very specific as a teacher, and I don't want to overlook questions like that because I think this is all really important. So some of the benefits that you're likely to see when you oil pull is, number one, that your mouth feels amazingly clean. So sometimes, if I oil pull and I have not yet brushed my teeth or flossed my teeth, I cannot even realize that I didn't brush or floss my teeth because my mouth feels so clean. I've done this a handful of times because I like to oil pull after I brush and floss, which is another topic in this masterclass that I'll get to in a little bit. But your mouth will feel very clean. It will, in essence, polish your teeth. And this is why oil pulling can give you a brighter smile. It can start to wear away at like tea stains and coffee stains and help there be more white to the enamel of your teeth. Oil is also strengthening. So it strengthens your bones, and your teeth are a product of bone, right? They are bone. And it also, because you are pulling the oil, right? You are moving it around in your mouth to some degree. I think some of you might be overdoing it based on your comments in our Facebook group. But any time that we can activate the tissue of the gums, this is why like a holistic dentist will tell you, you shouldn't only brush your teeth. You should also brush your gums, because when you are stimulating that tissue, just like when you dry brush or, gua sha your body, you are helping to bring lymph and blood into movement. You're moving lymphatic fluid where it needs to go, which is on the move. It just needs to be on the move in the mouth. And you are stimulating the blood supply, which is, when that's activated, when you get more blood supply to any area of your body, when it's healthy blood supply, that's good. That's, flushing and cleansing and oxygenating and cellularly, really activates you. So getting more blood flow in the mouth is always really good. It deepens your ability to detox, essentially, with as simple of a practice as oil pulling is. So let me think if there's any other benefits. It's a routine, it's a ritual, it's a self-care ritual. So I think of that as a benefit of, hey, here's a really healthy, mindful Ayurvedic habit that reminds me that my health is important, that I'm important. And, the more of these kinds of really healthy self-care rituals that we build into our day, especially the beginning part of the day, the more likely we are to continue practicing health and making healthy choices, making choices that are self-affirming and self-loving throughout the day. So that is another benefit as well. And then the amount of time that you should oil pull is something like between 10 and 20 minutes is usually what I see when I'm reading about oil pulling from other Ayurvedic practitioners and teachers. But like I said before, it starts off as a thick, viscous oil. It starts out as pure oil. Once it's in your mouth long enough to collect bacteria, and it transforms its viscosity in your mouth, which you can feel, it's a texture, you're ready to spit that out. And I've had that happen, in less than 10 minutes. I don't think I ever oil pull for 20 minutes. That feels like a long time. But, everybody's different. It's kind of something you need to experiment with. Here's one test that you can do. If you want to be like, I only have 5 minutes to oil pull, then oil pull for 5 minutes. That is still beneficial to you. If you want to be really scientific about it, be like, I want to see what happens in 10 minutes versus 15 minutes versus 20 minutes. Put the oil in your mouth, set a timer, and then when the timer goes off, spit it out and look at what comes out. Does it still look like the oil that you put in your mouth? If it does, which is highly unlikely, you didn't oil pull for long enough. If it is discolored, a slightly different texture, it's thinner, it's more watery because right now there's all kinds of saliva in the mix, then you oil pulled for long enough and you can let it go. You can also know how long was beneficial for you by how your mouth feels afterwards. Like I said, your mouth should feel really clean and sparkly even after oil pulling. So, I really, as a teacher of Ayurveda, I've been practicing Ayurveda for 18 years, for myself, over 18 years. I've been a practitioner for 16, and I've traveled to India several times. I study Ayurveda when I'm there. I've studied yoga since 1993, blah, blah, blah. The reason why I'm telling you this is because I've noticed that, and this is just me, but when teachers are especially dogmatic, they're like, this is how you do it, and this is the only way that you do it. Not only do I find that to be a turnoff, even though I know that in some situations, in some scenarios, it's valid, I really believe that the core teaching of Ayurveda is that you are unique and you need to honor you and learn about who you are through this amazing system of 5-element theory, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, how you feel now, what do you need now? Like, learn about who you are, practice self-awareness, and have that be your guide, not what it says in some book or on somebody's website. And I don't want to, and I'm not saying that to, put anything down that you've read. I'm just saying, like, you ultimately, really in Ayurveda, you really are the boss and the one who gets to say, like, this felt good or this didn't feel good. And of course, it's really great to learn, like, sesame oil is warming, coconut oil is cooling. Olive oil is actually somewhat warming, but it's far more neutral compared to sesame oil. Hemp seed oil is very anti-inflammatory. Neem oil is super anti-inflammatory, super bitter. I would never oil pull with straight up neem unless I was like, I don't know, maybe had thrush or something. It's cooling, but the bitter taste is cooling. So when you learn Ayurveda, that's why I teach so many courses and all the stuff that I do, you've really got to learn the science so that you understand what it means to you. It's not enough to just oil pull. That doesn't mean that you're practicing Ayurveda. You're practicing Ayurveda when you understand what oil pulling means to you and when you need it. And so that takes me to the question of, how often should you oil pull? So I studied with a teacher, Dr. Shrestha from Nepal, and she did this whole class on hydration, and oil pulling was part of it. And what she said that I thought was so interesting is it's very common, right? We think that we're putting the oil in our mouth because we're just swishing it and we spit it out. We're not swallowing any of it. You will inevitably swallow even micro doses of your oil pull. So it can be hard on the liver to be swallowing this, this bacterial ridden oil. The longer it's in your mouth, the more bacterial it's becoming. So to her point, what she was really saying is you don't necessarily need to oil pull every single day. I don't oil pull every single day. I very much pull it out at different, more in certain seasons, like in fall when it's colder, lighter, drier, and, just more oil everywhere in my life is a good idea. I do tend to oil pull more often versus in the summer when I'm just more like, like I'm out on the go and I don't know, it just isn't as much in the forefront of my mind to be putting oil in my mouth. I don't oil pull as often. Or for you, you might use sesame oil to oil pull in the fall and winter when it's cold. You might use coconut oil in the summer when it's hot outside, right? You can dance with this in so many different ways. But I do want you to know that you get benefit from oil pulling every single time that you do it. So it's not one of those practices that you must do every day in order to get the cumulative effect of the practice to be effective. Did I say that right? Every time you do it, you get benefit. Just like any time you eat greens, you get benefit from that time eating greens. The more you eat greens, the more benefit you get. With oil pulling, I think, again, it's a individual situation because some of you have fatty liver. Some of you have liver disease. You might really want to consider that and oil pull a little bit less often, like maybe twice a week instead of every day or even every other day. But you'll really find your rhythm once you start doing it, and trust how drawn you are to it as well. Now, if you've done oil pulling and you've had a bad experience, like I think one of the ways that this conversation got started in our Facebook group, Ayurveda Every Day with Talya, which if you're watching this video on YouTube, you're welcome to join. It's totally free. I think that it got started because somebody posted a picture of a tongue that was very swollen with scalloped edges. She had had an allergic reaction to oil pulling with coconut oil. She wasn't sure if it was an allergic reaction, but she posted that, and then it started all this conversation about like what caused her, like kind of the swelling of her tongue. She reported that she had tingling on her tongue. That is a sign of something's not resonating, something's not quite right. There's probably an allergic reaction happening. And sometimes an allergic reaction will happen even when, in your mind, you're like, but I run cold. And Talya said that sesame oil was good for people who run cold. Well, there just might be something in sesame oil, like on a chemistry basis, like on a real molecular level, that doesn't agree with your chemistry. It's okay, doesn't matter, use a different oil. Don't get so hung up on which oil you should be using. Find one that works for you, that doesn't give you tingling or bad taste in your mouth. Stick with one that you like, that you will use again. I don't know what that noise was. And you're good to go. And again, you can always mix and match. You can change what you use in the season. That's something I teach in my RAD Cleanse, the Radiance Ayurveda Detox that I teach every season. In that course, it's like everything is so specific to the season that we're in. So when I teach oil pulling in the spring, I do teach it a little different than when I teach it in the fall, because I want everyone to attune to the the overarching effect of the season that we're in. And by the way, today is the absolute last day to sign up for the RAD Cleanse. If you have been on the fence, we closed enrollment a few days ago, and then we got a bunch of emails from people that were like, no, I wanted to get in. So I opened it up for 2 more days, and it ends tonight at midnight. So just FYI. Okay, let's see what other questions are here. So this is from Christine. I find that I generate a ton of saliva when I do it and feel the need to spit way earlier than we are supposed to. So again, the supposed to. I'm like, well, if you have so much spit in your mouth that you need to spit it out, I can't imagine that oil still is like viscous and thick the way it was when you first put it in your mouth. It must have changed. You might also, Christine, be using too much oil to start with. I mean, I said a teaspoon. I don't even know that I always use a whole teaspoon. Sometimes I use like probably half a teaspoon. To be honest, I do this. I take a tiny little swig. And if I do accidentally take too much, I spit some of it out so that I'm not dealing with that for the next 10 or 15 minutes or however long I oil pull for that day. Yeah, so I hope that answers your question. And then let's talk about the order of things. So, like, when should you oil pull? Should it be after you brush your teeth, before you brush your teeth? Now, believe I really don't believe that there's like a right answer to this, because I've seen it in various texts, and through various teachers that I really respect. I've seen the order of things be very, very different. So, like all those people, I came up with my own process. So what I do is I first thing that I ever do in the morning is I scrape my tongue with a copper tongue scraper. I sell these on my website. Um, I love this. I love the really thick, durable copper. They last forever. And the reason why I use copper is because it's the most antibacterial. And, oil pulling is an antibacterial practice as well. So, I'm kind of keeping with the theme. But that's the very first thing that I do in the morning. It scrapes off that layer of basically toxins that have accumulated over the course of the night while I was asleep. Um, I scrape those off, rinse the tongue scraper. I do it 3, 4, 5 times, and I rinse my mouth with some kind of, either with just like water, or I like to use like an oxygen, like a hydrogen peroxide. There's one called essential oxygen. I think it's 3% hydrogen peroxide. The rest of it is maybe water. And then they add, I think, essential oils to it. I forget. I actually have made my own several times, but I made a bunch. So it's been a long time because I'm almost at the end, but I haven't made it in a long time. I'll usually do that just because that's what feels good to me. I just like to do it. Then I always drink a glass of water. It can be water with lemon in it. I don't care, although some people don't like lemon for the teeth, for the enamel of the teeth. You're drinking a glass of water to flush. Like you just scraped your tongue, now you just want to flush whatever's left, or like get it out of your system so that it can be on the move. All that you release out of your mouth in the morning is what you don't have to swallow and redigest later in the day. So as much as you can do is good. Okay, then I go and I brush my teeth and I floss my teeth. Then I oil pull. This is me. Now, I have had days where, like, I want to go to yoga. Yoga's at, let's just say it's a Saturday morning. My favorite class with Dawn Hayes in Santa Cruz, California, Pacific Edge, is at 10:15 in the morning. So let's say I stayed up late the night before watching Stranger Things, which is very possible. I love that show. And I wake up late and it's like 9:45 and I want to ride my bike to yoga. I will literally just throw on my yoga clothes, put some oil pull in my mouth, and on my bicycle, oil pull while I'm riding my bike to yoga. And when before I get to the yoga studio, I spit it out. And I drink some water when I get to the yoga studio and I go to my class. Sometimes I oil pull while I drive. Same kind of scenario, like where I'm just like, oh gosh, I don't want to miss out on cleaning my mouth, but I gotta go. And so I'll take it with me. And there have been some questions about where do you spit it out, okay? Because there's so much stuff about like oil in the drains, and I get it, it clogs the drains. So what I do, I don't know if this is the best thing or not, but I just spit it out in the dirt. Like I just go outside, I'm like, it's a patch of dirt. And it's gone. Like, I never feel like it's still there, like seeping into the, it doesn't seem like a bad thing. So I do that, or you can spit it out into your garbage can as long as it's like lined, I will occasionally spit it into the sink because it's not true oil anymore. After it's mixed with your saliva and all the enzymes in your saliva, like it's not really oil that you spit out anymore. So keep that in mind about where you should spit. And let's see. Somebody was saying that the muscles in her face feel really strained if she does it for more than a minute. And so that's why I was like, maybe she's overdoing it, because it can be, this is what I do. I'll just show you, imagining that I have it. Like, I'm not constantly pulling it through my teeth. That's me pulling it through my teeth, trying to get it right front to back. And then, I might just hold it, essentially. Like, you don't have to constantly be pulling it, because you can feel, like, literally feel, it's like soaking a casserole pan. One of my favorite analogies from my teacher, Deanna Batdorf. It's like soaking a casserole pan. All the gunk is coming off the sides and coming into the center, and you don't have to do that much work. The oil is doing the work for you. So the last thing that I really want to say about the oil itself. This is a long Facebook Live. Thanks for still being here, but it is a mini masterclass. Yes, give me some hearts and some likes, everybody. That really feels good. As the person who's just talking to a computer, it really feels good to know that you're there and like still interested. So, no, like I said, I use sesame oil. Because that's what feels good to me. It's warming. I like the way it tastes. I like the way it feels. I have no aversion to it whatsoever. And then I like to medicate my oil pull. Even when I buy the one from Pavani, honestly, I still add stuff to it because I really like my oil pull to feel active. Thank you for the hearts. So when I'll fill up a 4-ounce bottle. I'll start with this. So listen to my words. You've got to be really listening here so that you don't misunderstand what I'm saying, because I'm about to talk about essential oils, and essential oils are very, very powerful, volatile oils, and I don't want to give you advice that then you do and you hurt yourself. Okay, so listen up. Safety first. I'm talking about a 4-ounce bottle of carrier oil. My example is sesame. Per every 1 ounce of carrier oil, you can add around 10 drops of essential oil is going to be a therapeutic amount. Therapeutic meaning it will be quite strong and it will be very active. The essential oils that you add will indeed be doing a specific job. Now, some of you, that might be too much. If you're really sensitive, take that, 10 drops per 1 ounce of oil, make that 5 drops. It's always better with essential oils to start small. You can always add more, whereas it's harder to dilute than the other way around. So in a 4-ounce bottle of sesame oil like this, I personally add 30 drops of doTERRA's blend, which is called On Guard. On Guard is, they call it their protective blend. I think of it as their most antibacterial, it's based on the thieves oil, which is, the thieves oil is like the folklore around the thieves oil is that when there was a plague, the aromatherapists and the herbalists who had access to these herbs that are in On Guard, only a little bit different from thieves oil, they would dip their handkerchiefs in that oil and hold it over their mouths when they went into town, and they were the ones who survived the plague. They didn't get sick. So On Guard isn't it's a protective blend. It's an immune supporting blend. It's a vata reducing blend. So I love it for all kinds of reasons. I believe that the ingredients are, I know it's cinnamon and clove, rosemary, orange, and eucalyptus, I believe is the 5th. So I'll put 30 drops of On Guard into my bottle of sesame oil, and then I will add 10 drops of myrrh essential oil. Now, the reason why I am using these 2 oils specifically is I like the blend of On Guard for the reasons I just said, but clove essential oil is very antioxidant. It's very gum health specific. Remember how I said like just swishing the oil in your mouth like activates the gum tissue? So does clove essential oil. So even, one of the remedies in Ayurveda for somebody who has bleeding gums can be to put 1 drop of clove essential oil on their finger and rub it onto the gums. It just has like, even though it's activating, it's also very, I don't think it's a sedative, but it might be. I'd have to look that up. But it's healing. Now, it's also very warming. So if you have an injury on your gums, like a cut, you wouldn't want to put clove oil straight on the cut. Would probably feel okay in an oil pull. That would be fine. But for abscesses and infections that are open and painful, myrrh is much more cooling, and it is also a gum specific essential oil in terms of soothing and healing and fortifying the tissue in the way that we want it to be fortified. So when I started doing this whole mouth routine, I've been doing it for several years. My mouth felt better than ever, and it was great. I am Vata predominant, as most of you already know from just being here with me at other times. And Vata rules bones and nerves, which means for people of the Vata dosha, your nervous system and your bones are often thinner, lighter, more brittle, more sensitive. So that includes your teeth. And teeth need lots of minerals. So this is where I teach so much about hydrating the body beyond water in my RAD Cleanse. If you haven't joined and you're on the fence, today's the last day for the Fall Cleanse 2019. But it's very common for someone who has a Vata imbalance or who is Vata predominant to be losing the mineralization in their teeth, and which then can cause cavities and holes and all kinds of issues. So the oil pull practice is helping to seal that. It's even more powerful when you add an essential oil like myrrh and clove, because they have their own sealing powers as well. SEAL for seal. But the other thing I wanted to say is, so I started going to a holistic dentist about 6 years ago. And I initially went because I had had mercury fillings since I was a girl, and I wanted them taken out. So I went to this holistic dentist. They took it out. They were like, your gum health could be better. They really actually, to be honest, they taught me how to brush my teeth and my gums, because the dentist that I had until the age of 40 never said anything about my teeth and never taught me how to brush my teeth properly. So I wasn't brushing my teeth properly until I was 40. So that's whatever. But I still was getting cavities. And I'm like, what? How can that be? I brush my teeth like 3 times a day. I oil pull. I do all, I tongue scrape. I do all this stuff. And then I started to add, and by the way, all this stuff is in my shop, AyurvedaEveryday.shop. You can get 10% off in there. There's a little coupon code at the top. It's really easy. And when you spend more than $75 in my shop, you get a free Ayurvedic lip balm, which I think is so cool. But I started using dental Sidon, which is a toothpaste that is infused with a product called Biocidin. It's created by my dear friend and client, Rachel Fresco. She created the company Biobotanical Research. And Biocidin is like, she doesn't want me to call it an herbal antibiotic, so I won't call it that. But it's going to add even more of the power of your oil pull. It's going to do even more for you in that regard. So I started brushing with that. And then after I oil pull, like I might even do it at night, I rinse with, she's got something called Dental Sidon. It's like a mouth rinse with the Biocidin in it. Or I'll just rinse with the Biocidin. So I started using that. I want to say it would have been, it's October now, a little over a year ago. No, I'm sorry. A little over a year ago. And the dentist appointment that I had before that, now I'm telling you a story, okay? the dentist appointment I had had before that, they were like, you have, your teeth are so demineralized, you know, this, whatever you're doing, like, you're gonna need more, you have more cavities on their way, so you better watch out. And I was like, this is crazy. So I did my routine like I told you: tongue scrape, water, brush teeth, brush gums, floss teeth, oil pull. But when I brushed my teeth, I used the dental side in. And when I brushed my teeth at night, I did the dental side and rinse afterwards, or the biocide and rinse. And I didn't go to the dentist again for until about 2 months ago. I just forgot. Like, I just got busy and forgot. It wasn't, I have no excuse. But when I went again, she was like, your mouth is amazing. Like, some people experience this just with oil pulling. They like blow their dentist's minds with how much they're able to improve the state of their teeth and gums. For me, I needed a little bit something extra, but I'm sharing that with you just in case you are like, maybe you have been oil pulling and you're like, it's not totally working for me. I hear all these benefits. I know they're true, but I need that something extra. There have been some studies done, which you can read about online, of the biocidins and the dental sidin toothpaste. How much healing people are experiencing through using that on a daily basis. So I just wanted to share that because that's in my shop, and you can get 10% off of any of those products, as well as I have On Guard in there and myrrh. So have a good time looking around in there. And let's see. I think I answered all of the questions that I had about oil pulling. So this brings us to the conclusion of everything you ever wanted to know about oil pulling. I hope it was great. And thank you so much for watching. So my name is Talya. This is Ayurveda Every Day with Talya. I so appreciate you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.